Now batting for the New York Yankees, the shortstop, number 2.
Welcome back. This is episode 96 of the NYYST Podcast, presented to you by NYYSportsTalk.com. I'm your host, Christian. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Chris.
You.
And it's that guy, Rye.
What up?
You know what that is?
You being a jerk off?
It's an evil, maniacal laugh that Brian Cashman did after he inked Adam Ottavino to that deal this week.
It was a robbery. What is he making a year?
$9 million.
And what is David Robertson making a year?
12-ish.
That's crazy to me. And I'll get this off my chest real quick. There's some jerk off sources and reporters out there that seem to want to take responsibility of calling that Adam Ottavino was going to be a Yankee, but there was a hang up on years and numbers. And then they go out there after he signs and he's like, I told you the hang up was the third year, but the Yankees gave in and blah, blah, blah. There was no fucking hang up if he's getting $9 million a year. What, he wake up one day and say, you know what, give me the 3 years, but I'll only take $9 a year. No. I'm sorry. That's just ridiculous to me. Absolutely ridiculous.
You feel better now?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Yanks signed Ottavino earlier this week, which is the big news coming out of the Bronx. Now, why is Brian Cashman doing that evil, maniacal laugh? Because he just put together possibly the best bullpen in the history of Major League Baseball.
It's really unbelievable. Him making that move, you can't tell me that him making that move didn't make you say to yourself, this is it. They are built now. Can there still be other moves made? Sure, of course. I expect some midseason moves as well, but you can't tell me that you're not confident with this team right now, top to bottom.
No, you have to be. This is a pretty
Look
good...
at that bullpen, dude. Just think about it. Just put in your head, it's a 5-3 game in the 6th inning, and you have the choice of going to Adam Ottavino, Chad Green, Dellin Betances, Zach Britton.
Crazy.
And then you close it out with a 105-mile-per-hour flamethrower or all this chat.
Crazy.
The back end of your bullpen could be like the last two guys in your bullpen could be Tommy Kahnle and Jonathan Holder.
Crazy.
That's how deep this bullpen is.
It's crazy.
And the Yankees are hoping Tommy Kahnle recovers some of that 2017 magic that he had.
And it seems like...
where he was really the coveted guy in the Robertson and Frazier deal.
It seems like with this move now, we actually have a decent long reliever that's going to be utilized in a much different way.
Who's that?
Now, Aaron Boone can use Jonathan Holder just like he did AJ Cole last year, but we can be a lot more confident about it.
Here's something that Michael K brought up on his show yesterday, is that he would stretch out Chad Green and have Chad Green be a guy that you can use for multiple innings.
I don't like that. I don't. And there's one reason why. He throws very hard.
Throws gas.
And he needs to rely on his fastball.
Throws gas.
Without that, we've seen Chad Green, when he doesn't rely on his fastball enough and he gets hit. Jonathan Holder is a guy who can go more innings and not lose what it makes him good. Whereas Chad Green, extending himself, it just makes him back to being that guy who almost was a starting pitcher for the New York Yankees, but never had the great stuff that he had out of the bullpen.
Can you maybe see them using both of those guys more this year, like with extended innings at a time, and maybe opt to not even carry a long reliever in the bullpen?
I don't think there's going to be a long reliever. I think primarily that role where if you truly need to go with a long reliever is going to be Holder. And I think that it's going to cause Boone to have an even shorter leash on the starting pitchers, because you're hoping that you don't have too many games where Holder's coming in when it's a 10-run deficit at that point.
So Jonathan Holder is our mop-up guy as of right now?
In a sense, that's what I'm getting at, but you're not going to really see him as that. Did you see AJ Cole as a mop-up guy last year?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. I'm not asking what you thought he was in your brain. Was he used as a mop-up guy last year?
Well,
primarily, but he was also used in
very
some
big
more high
games,
pressure
right?
situations.
And it didn't make you feel too good, did you?
No, you don't want to see a long reliever.
So if
doing
AJ Cole was coming in when they were down 3 runs in the 5th or 6th, but now you replace him with Jonathan Holder, does that make you a little bit more confident that the Yankees can stay in the game and come back and win?
Yes.
So there you go.
Oh, definitely.
So these games that Boone quote-unquote punted last year, who's he going to punt with now? Jonathan Holder? Like, that's the guy he's going to bring in when they're losing?
That's going to be the tough spot there. Depending on how many bullpen guys are actually carrying, you could see a minor league guy in that bullpen like Tarpley. I don't know how many innings Tarpley can give you, but that could be his kind of role this year.
I think he's going to be looked at to be a lefty specialist.
Mm-hmm. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I mean, how many times you have Zach Britton now, where obviously he's not a lefty specialist, but do you really even call on a lefty specialist much anymore? The way the Yankees go about it nowadays, when's the last time you saw the Yankees bring a lefty in just for one batter and then go to someone else? It doesn't happen as much anymore in the Yankee organization. So I don't see them bringing Tarpley up here just to be their lefty specialist.
Their main guys in their bullpen get out everybody.
Right. Exactly. That's the thing. So you're not going to waste a spot on Tarpley just to throw to one batter every 3rd or 4th day.
I don't think the Yankees are wasting a spot on Tarpley. I think they like Tarpley. And there could be a situation earlier in the game where maybe you don't want to go to Zach Britton in the 5th inning in the game, on a CC start where the game might be hanging in the balance in the 5th and you're just looking to get out, a lefty
fine,
batter.
And that's fine. But you got to also tell me that when the game is blown up, that Tarpley's also your guy that you're just going to go to eat innings.
I don't think the Yankees will be looking at him to eat up innings, like multiple, like pitching
that's
2 or 3 innings at a time.
That's an interesting topic, I guess, to see how that unfolds.
And they could always use the Scranton shuttle.
Scranton shuttle.
Hopefully we don't have to see that play out.
Maybe they can bring back Adam Warren. I would think Adam Warren would be a nice guy, another nice piece to have in his bullpen.
Yeah. Hey, you know what a lot of people are overlooking with this Adam Ottavino signing?
What?
Guy is a switch hitter. He hits from both sides of the plate.
And why do we care?
Never know.
When's he ever going to grab at that?
That's pretty wild, though, right?
It's wild and crazy, kid.
It's pretty crazy.
You know what else people are overlooking?
What?
The fact that the Red Sox are they don't even know what they're going to do right now, and they're going to have to sign Craig Kimbrell.
They have to.
Some
Did you
crazy
see that tweet
deal.
I sent you guys, the side-by-side of the Yankees bullpen versus the Red Sox bullpen right now? It's just like, who are these guys?
It's crazy.
What are the Red Sox going to do? Realistically, they have. Don't they? They have. We've been saying it, but now even
they
the
got
Yankees
offense, bro. They don't need a bullpen.
I don't know.
They're better.
I can't believe somebody made that argument to me that the Red Sox don't need a bullpen. Did
that really happen?
Yeah.
I was just joking.
You need a closer. You need a legitimate guy.
You need a bullpen.
You need a bullpen for a 162-game season.
First of all, that's just how baseball is now, right? Second of all, you have a guy in Chris Sale that you need to really monitor this year, because year after year, this guy completely falls apart by the end of the year, and you need to make sure that he's not over pitching himself this year.
In October, you can get away with doing different things by using Evaldi as a setup guy, having Chris Sale close out Game 5 of the World Series, but day in and day out from April to September, you need a bullpen.
Yeah.
You can't survive without it.
No.
And I tweeted this out earlier in the week when the signing news of the signing came down. Is Ottavino really the one guy that wanted to be a Yankee? Like Patrick Corbin wanted to be a Yankee, but where is he? Manny Machado wants to be a Yankee, but he's going to go to the highest bidder. Adam Ottavino has got a very friendly contract.
Team friendly.
Right?
Well, his dad came out and said that's what he always wanted. His whole career was to play for the Yankees.
Don't you think somebody like the Red Sox, as much as I wanted the Yankees to sign 2 relief pitchers in the offseason, and we already got, but after they got Britton, it wasn't a necessity.
No, it was definitely something I felt that they needed to do because I knew they could do it, but it wasn't a necessity in a sense of this team or this bullpen isn't complete without him.
Mm-mm.
And the Yankees went out and got him, right? So what are the Red Sox doing that they couldn't offer him more money?
They definitely could have.
Do they not want him? I mean, I don't understand that. You don't even have a setup guy or a closer, and Adam Ottavino just went to a club that already had Zach Britton, Dellin Betances, and enrolled as Chapman for $9 million a year.
Well, that's what happens
What are the Mets doing? The Mets set up guys J. Bruce Familia and Brody Van Wagenen and bro thinks he's going to compete with the Phillies and Nats and Braves.
Swarzak still there?
No, they traded him in the Cano deal.
Right.
And he thinks he's going to compete with those teams with J. Bruce Familia as a setup guy?
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. Like that's a much bigger need
point.
for just the two teams that we think about the most besides the Yankees, really. It's a much bigger need for them than the Yankees.
Sure.
Are these teams not playing in that part of the field right now?
It's crazy.
And this is the thing that the Yankee fans that want the Yankees to spend don't understand. Yeah, the Red Sox went out, they got their championship, and now look what they're trying to do. Nothing. They're not really doing anything.
Well, they're kind of handcuffed.
They don't want to spend any more money.
Right.
So, and this is what I keep saying. Do you want to win one championship or do you want to win multiple championships? Yeah, we got to get the first one out of the way first. But you want to sustain this throughout a course of 4 or 5 years.
Sure.
So you can have a $250 million payroll this year, and guess what's going to happen?
And the only reason why you're thinking more championships or thinking about your future, again, is because the controllable talent you have is capable of doing it. It's not like we're just settling for young controllable talent. We have young controllable talent that 29 other teams would die to have on their team right now. So you have to think big picture. And the Red Sox are handcuffed right now. We're seeing it. We're watching it happen in front of our eyes. And you know what? Good for them. They won the World Series. But what's going to happen in 5 years if the Yankees win 2 out of the next 5 or 3 of the next 5? Then what? Then their fans are going to be bitching that they gave JD Martinez blah, blah, blah because he was only good his first year here and now he sucks and so on and so forth.
Okay.
Ottavino, though, his fastball velocity is in the 50th percentile, so it's not that great. But then you look at the spin rate on his fastball, 75th percentile.
Ooh, spin rate.
I love a good spin rate.
His average velocity tops out probably around 94, 95 on a good day.
Did you see that slider?
But yeah, the off-speed stuff and his sinker is very nice as well.
But in an offseason where Adam Ottavino, Andrew Miller, Zach Britton, and David Robertson were all free agents, and Edwin Diaz got traded, and the Red Sox didn't bring in any of those guys?
Yeah, that's very weird to me.
Are they that serious about cutting payroll?
I guess.
Yeah, they won 3 in the last 10 years or something like that.
They've had a great run. And we knew that window was pretty much being shut when they made that deal on Chris Sale.
They had to win in the next 2 or 3 years.
They had to, and they did. And they did that by getting the guy that was out there, and good for them. But there was a big difference in them to us. And that is that we decided to completely rebuild, and we acquired young, controllable talent that is now proven in Major League Baseball that we can now build around. The Red Sox traded all of their young, controllable talent.
Oh, Mookie Betts is there.
For a guy that was available, and they made that decision. And that was
Andrew
something...
Benintendi.
Yeah, those are 2 guys, absolutely.
Okay. Xander Bogaerts.
I'm not saying that they didn't have the young, controllable talent. I'm saying that they made the decision to close the window when they did because they felt the time was now. And until right now, the Yankees weren't even debating that because they were rebuilding. See, the fans are clouded because of their success after 2016. They were still rebuilding. Cashman hasn't been faced with the opportunity to give away everything that he had built up for one starting pitcher because everything that he built up came up quick and proved themselves quick. And now we have a lot of guys
very quick.
So there's a big difference there.
Yeah, it's something I say all the time is that the Yankees didn't have to suffer through 4 or 5 losing seasons where they were 75 win club.
How many times did the Red Sox go from last place to winning a World Series? I think they did it back.
They were just
back to back
from first
championships.
To last.
They were last place, then first place, then last place, then first place.
So Yankees set the home run record last year, and Ottavino 97th percentile in strikeout rate this year. Do the Yankees set the record for most strikeouts by a team in a season?
It could happen.
The record's 1,535, 2013 Houston Astros.
So do you know how many they had last year?
No, do you?
Oh, you're the stat guy.
Well, the way you were asking, it sounded like you had that info at hand for me.
I did not.
All right, so they had 1,421 strikeouts as a team last year.
And how many? What's the record?
1,535.
So they need like
It's
110 strikeouts. Yeah. And how much strikeouts did Ottavino have last year? Like 117 or one?
Something like that.
Yeah.
112.
That could happen.
Hey, it could happen.
He makes up the deficit by himself.
Yeah, you're replacing Robertson with him, though, so you'd have to see that.
Okay. Plus, I think Paxton's going to have more strikeouts than the guys that he is replacing in the lineup.
Absolutely.
It's attainable.
It's attainable. It could happen.
Could you imagine that team that leads the major leagues in home runs and strikeouts?
No.
Over under 1,500.
I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go with the record. I'm gonna
all right,
say it
let's
too.
all say they're gonna break the record for strikeouts in a season.
Fine. I'll say they'll break the record. Why not?
Bada bing, done.
Let's do it. We're in. Lock it in. Deal.
All right, let's put all of that on hold for a second here. Let's bring in Brendon Sennot. Brendon's been a contributor to NYYSportsTalk.com for a few months now. Started writing for us towards the beginning of the end of the season last year. Brendon's kind of been slacking on his duties. I think he's only had one column in 2019.
Yes.
So
Yep.
I'm pretty sure this is him. He's going to have to sing for his supper here right now, or we might.
I like this.
We might have to fire him.
It's a lot of pressure, and I like it.
You can follow Brendon on Twitter if you want to at Aubdec, AUBDEC. Brendon, why don't you give the fans that might not have read your work on NYYSportsTalk.com a little background of your history in baseball?
Sure. So I was a reporter and radio producer. I produced the weekly baseball show for a radio station in Detroit, the number one sports station in Detroit, WDFN, The Fan. I was in that role for about 6 years. This was probably from 2002 to 2008. So right around the time where the dynasty kind of ended with the Yankees, and then they obviously, 08 was kind of the last year, they got good, when they went on the free agent, spending binge and won the title in 09. So, had a season credential, covered pretty much, every team in baseball, did a weekly baseball show where we get, high profile guests on the show, writers, Buster Olneys of the world, Jeff Passons, guys like that. Spent a lot of time in the clubhouse getting audio before games, so interacting a lot. And I mean, obviously I went to every single Yankee game when they were in Detroit. You could kind of, I at least had a season pass. I could go down there whenever I wanted to. So, I would go down there and kind of just be around the Yankees. It was kind of a pretty cool experience for a guy in his 20s, kind of hanging around his favorite team. So I can tell you some stories on air. I can tell you some stories that would probably be better off air about, some of our favorite Yankees over the last decade or so. So definitely pretty cool experience for me.
I know you want to tell a story regarding some trade you were telling us about from your time covering baseball. We'll get to that in a little bit, because right now what we're going to do is we're going to actually bring you in to be the fourth member of the panel here. We're going to, include you in on some of the topics that we were going to talk about on the show today, and one of them is Sonny Gray. So now you keep hearing the rumors. We're recording on 2:30, a little bit later on Saturday afternoon. So again, we always have to put the disclaimer out. Things can change in between now and when you hear this on Monday morning. But John Heyman, amongst others, are reporting that the Yankees are really trying to close in and finalize a deal for Sonny Gray, get him out of New York. Sonny Gray was at some event for, I believe, Vanderbilt last night, and he was like, well, guys, I kind of just want to pitch where I want it. So he doesn't want to be here either. The Yankees don't want him here. The team you keep hearing the most is the Cincinnati Reds,
which I'm kind of shocked about. I'm shocked that they reemerged as the top team, because who was big on him for a while? The Padres, right?
I heard the Padres. I heard the A's. I heard the which would surprise me. The Brewers was another team. Yep. I heard the Giants had some interest, which I guess for anybody that wanted Madison Bumgarner, that couldn't make you happy, because why would you trade for Gray and then trade away Bumgarner?
I spoke to someone in the A's organization he kind of laughed when I asked him the level of interest that the A's had in Sonny Gray. He said there really wasn't any. Cashman was asking for the world for him, and the A's kind of just moved right off it. So
yeah, so it looks like the Yankees could be getting a pretty decent haul back for Sonny Gray. There's conflicting reports of whether the Yankees can get 2 top prospects or 1. Apparently, there might be a draft pick involved, which I believe you can only trade what they call competitive balance picks. So the Yankees would get that plus 1 or both of the A's 6th and 8th ranked prospects. The Reds, I'm sorry. One's a second baseman, one's a catcher. Both seem to have more of an offensive upside than they do defensive upside. We'll start with Brendon here since he's our guest. How do you feel about, getting Sonny Gray out of the Bronx? Is this something you want to do? Because I heard you and Sonny are really close best friends and you guys text all the time.
Well, it's not quite that, but he is my daughter's favorite player. So
is he really?
She's a happy-go-lucky 8-year-old that loves everything and exudes positivity. So naturally, her favorite baseball player, one of her favorite baseball players, would be named Sonny. So
Okay.
she fell in love with him when the Yankees got him. So I had to defend him as much as I could because Chris, you have a kid, right? So when your kid likes something, you stick up for that person, even if you know it's not necessarily the best fit. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, definitely it's time. He clearly doesn't have the head for New York. It's just a combination of pitching in Yankee Stadium, the media. It's just been a bad mix for the guy. Obviously the guy is a more than capable major league starter. I mean, he's better than some of the guys the Yankees have. I mean, he's a better pitcher than the Hermans of the world. But it's definitely time to move on. My thing with this trade, what I thought was funny was today it came out like somebody from the Reds, I think it was Dick Williams, said that a lot of what they attributed to his struggles was Gary Sanchez.
Yes, I saw that before.
Wait,
yes, somebody.
But yeah, this was actually a quote. Yeah.
Go ahead, Brendon. You're telling me.
Gary Sanchez's receiving had contributed to his struggles, but then you look at the stats and Romine caught 80% of his games.
Didn't Gary only catch him 8 innings in 2018? I believe it was 8 innings.
That's outlandish like that. Yeah. So it just goes to show you anything in sports, you can create a self-fulfilling prophecy that makes you look smart. Oh, yeah. But he's a good pitcher because of how Sanchez received him. You can spin it to your fan base any way to get them to buy into what you want. That, hey, we're getting a good pitcher here in Sonny Gray, guys. It's all Gary Sanchez's fault.
I've been a big proponent of this for a long time, that I think Sonny Gray is going to be really good next season once he's out of the Bronx, because if you take a look at his splits, what did Stat Guy Rye say last week? He was pitched to a 3.17 on the road last year?
Let's do it.
3.17, yep.
Yeah. Yep, I believe it's something like that, yeah.
So it's crazy. I mean, the guy's
his walks were down on the road.
His walks were down on the road. Home runs allowed were down on the road.
And he threw 11 and a third more innings on the road.
So, I mean, the guys that got the stuff, you watch him and you look at him and you say he's got the stuff. He's got a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, and he's got a really good curveball. He should be better than what he is. Sure. And when he's away from the Bronx, he is what the Yankees had.
He's beyond what the Yankees expected out of him, really.
They wanted him to be a number 2 starter, and when you pitch to a 3.17 ERA, you're a number 2 starter. So, I think we're all in agreement here that. Go ahead, Brendon.
I think one of the things that's gonna really incite, and I'm kind of in this crowd a lot. It's gonna fire up the anti Larry Rothschild crowd. Once wherever he lands. Now I know a lot of these teams he has connections to, like his college pitching coach, I think, is the guy with the Brewers, and another one that he has a close connection with is with the Reds. So, I mean, he's obviously going to, be somewhere that's comfortable for him. You know what I mean? But, I'm not the biggest Rothschild guy, and I think wherever he ends up, they'll end up, kind of teaching him that third pitch. I mean, I know that was my frustration with him, is it's always seemed like he was a 2-pitch pitcher. I mean, a guy with that kind of stuff, he couldn't learn a third pitch, and I did kind of feel like Rothschild maybe did not get the best out of him. What do you guys think?
Well, Brandon, to your point just now, I think that's why we saw Gray a little more effective out of the bullpen last year. I always go back to that game in Chicago where I think he came in for 3 innings, and it was honestly the best 3 innings I've ever seen Sonny Gray pitch. And it was because those two pitches were truly on. He had confidence in his fastball, and his curveball was getting the swing and miss stuff that he normally is used to.
And the Yankees had just lost 4 in a row, and there was 12 people in the stands, and it was 1 o'clock in the morning in New York, so nobody gave a shit. So that's why.
Yeah, that also attributes to it. Yeah. Right.
There's a big knock on Larry, but I mean, the numbers don't bear out the fans' perception of the guy.
And Brendon, I did this because I'm on board with you. I don't care for the guy. I really don't want him here, but it's not because of his history with the Yankees. I actually went through over the last 20, 30 years or something with the different pitching coaches. Larry Rothschild's numbers with these pitchers are actually stronger than any other pitching coach they've had in the last 20 years or so, I think it was.
Interesting. Isn't that funny though? How it shows you what that's why baseball I think is the greatest sport, because the numbers prove it, right? But you look at the eye test, and there's 2 ways to look at everything. There's the sabermetric way, looking strictly at numbers, but then you look at what you see and what you know about the game, and you're like, really, is this guy really the best pitching coach for this staff? Like, how does he maximize his talent? And it seems like there were always outside factors that have obviously the whole Pedro thing with Sevy is what, kind of pushed Sevy from potentially being a reliever into, that great starter, that number 1 starter that we saw in the first half of last year. So Rothschild is definitely a frustrating point for me as I, watch these games every day.
I think what the issue with Larry is he looks like everybody's grandpa, that he's just looking for a tuna fish sandwich and a nap.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to drop dead in the dugout half the time too. We need young, we need fresh.
Yeah, so you got Aaron Boone, who's mid-40s young guy. Josh Bard's a young guy. And then Phil Nevin's a young, Nevin's a young guy, and then you got Larry, who's older than all of their dads,
and Larry,
and then Larry's there.
Right. Unreal. Yeah, it's kind of like he's doesn't really fit the mix. You know what I mean, of what you think that coaching staff would be, but it's all Cash, right? I mean, he's Cashman's guy clearly, so he's going to be there unless there's something something goes horribly wrong.
Oh yeah, and Marcus Timms too. Marcus Timms is a young guy.
Yeah, but here's our theory behind Rothschild, and a lot of it was exposed that the Yankees really wanted a veteran presence when it came to the pitching, with Boone being a rookie manager, and I was fine with that, but from, again, going back to the eye test, it seemed like Rothschild had a little bit too much control over the pitching last year. I think now that Boone is a little more settled in, he got a little taste of the postseason, I think I thought it was time to just let go of Larry and bring someone in new and kind of let Boone feel like he had a little bit more control this year over the pitching to really show us, what he's capable of when it comes to bullpen management and starting pitchers.
Yeah, that's a great point. We're all definitely team Boone for the most part, but yeah, it would be nice to kind of see him have his own staff completely and kind of be his own man, because that's obviously a criticism we're all going to hear every night. I give it till probably about the 3rd inning of opening day before, somebody on Twitter wants him fired, right?
Yeah, he'll put in the wrong pitcher in a spring training game. They'll give up 4 runs, and somebody will want him fired. Oh, how are you going to throw this guy who I never even heard of, and the Yankees were up 5-0, and now they're losing? You're stupid, Boone. You suck.
Exactly. The Boone hate logic is completely out of control thanks to social media.
The crazy.
It never ends.
The crazy thing is that nobody wants to give the guy credit for what he actually did last year, because anybody can manage the Yankees to 100 wins. No, if you have 48 followers on Twitter and you've never picked up a baseball bat, you cannot manage the Yankees to 100 wins. I'm sorry. You can't convince me otherwise. Okay? So he should get some credit for being a guy that came out of a broadcast booth to skippering a team that won 100 games. Now, we all know what his faults are, and like you said, we're all pretty much Team Boone, and I gave him a free pass for 2018 because I realized what it was, but he doesn't get a free pass in 2019, so he's got to clean up a lot of his mistakes, but he still should get credit for having that team. Yeah, they didn't play well down the stretch because think of all the injuries they had, but they didn't completely implode. They didn't completely fall on their face. There was no infighting, turmoil. He held that team pretty well together, despite having to use Shane Robinson for 6 weeks or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, definitely. He doesn't get enough credit for the fact that, I mean, I think most people in the know realized that clubhouse had kind of started to tune out Girardi and his whole like taskmaster ways. And I mean, you see the reports now. I mean, he flew down to Dominican to spend time with some of the Dominican players. He definitely gets what it takes to be a manager, in this day and age with, the egos that the players have and the different breed of player. I mean, the whole, we don't run every ground ball out crowd that we so hear so much about, with certain free agents. It's definitely, I mean, think about it. The Yankees were basically one Jacob Junis pitch from playing until the, last weekend of the season neck and neck with the Red Sox, who had a historical year. Judge doesn't go down. I mean, I'll take it to my grave that they're in it until the season ends. Basically.
It's definitely closer, yeah.
In the playoffs, So yeah, I mean, the Boone criticism is just, I mean, of course, yeah. Can he get better at bullpen management? And again, that's a knock on Rothschild, because if Rothschild is our cranky grandpa that is willing to express his opinion, he should be telling Boone, look, man, you got to get this guy the hell out of here. He's got nothing. You know what I mean? And being animate about it, as opposed to just kind of sitting there with his thumb up his ass, like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll let this keep going on. So that's another area where, again, you think the old sage guy on his coaching staff would actually help him out, make his life easier. But there was a lot of times he didn't do that. So, again, bullpen management, I'm fine with everything else based on everything that happened last year.
Well, the good thing about Aaron Boone in 2019 is that his security blanket is in Cleveland now.
I think so, yeah.
Is that where
AJ
he wound
Cole?
up? AJ Cole wound up in Cleveland. So, I mean, even if, as fans like to say, he punts games, which is another stupid Twitter term that people use, when he tries to do that, he's going to be bringing in Jonathan Holder, who was pretty good last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely more of a fireman type as opposed to Cole's arsonist that would come in, right?
Yeah, Cole, that's a good point there. Holder's more of a fireman, whereas Cole's...
I think we're a little tough on Cole. Me included.
He sucks.
He was good when he first got here,
for like 3 weeks, and then it was like Cinderella turning back to the pumpkin.
Right.
And then Boone just never realized that he was a friggin' pumpkin. He kept waiting for him to turn back into Cinderella, or what? I got my fairy tales correct?
No.
What doesn't
you do, but you're a little off. It turned into like a crystal horse and carriage that turned back into it wasn't Cinderella herself that turned into a pumpkin. I think that's where you lost the analogy.
Oh, you know way too much about Cinderella, so let's get back to Sonny Gray here. Are you surprised the Yankees are going to get a decent haul for him? Because a lot of people argued with me even back to the trade deadline last year where I said the Yankees were going to get a decent package for him. And they're like, no, Sonny sucks. You're not even going to get a moldy pretzel for him.
No, not at all. Because, that's like we just said. Any team can convince themselves, hey, my pitching coach, my organization, my analytics guys, we can make this guy into, because like you said, Christian, with the stuff is there. So every team with that type of arm, pitching is such a vital part, and there's not enough good pitching that a guy like that with Gray that has good stuff, any other team is going to think, you know what? Hey, the Yankees couldn't get through to this guy, but I can. So I'm not surprised at all that they're getting something good for him.
Well, one of those dipshits that was saying the Yankees weren't even going to get a moldy pretzel for Sonny Gray sitting right across from me.
I am. I'm one of them. But you made a good point, and I also am a moldy pretzel that turned himself into an eatable pretzel because I said
edible.
That I was wrong.
Edible.
I like
edible.
eatable. I like the word eatable.
It's not a real word, though.
So too bad.
Let him have it.
I'll say whatever I want to say here because I'm actually eating my own crow. Okay.
You're going to give this to him, Ryan?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I think the Yankees have more leverage, though, with trading Gray than people think. You look at his home and away splits, pitching to a 3.17 ERA on the road, but then you look at his first and second half splits. First half of the year, 5.46 ERA, second half a 3.63. So in only 12 games compared to 18 in the first half.
That also attributes, though, to your first point where the Yankees weren't pitching him as much as at home. He came out of the rotation. He was in the bullpen.
Right.
And
he still pitched just about 40 innings.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
39 2/3 with a 3.63. That's
no, yeah, it's much better.
Not bad.
Much better. He was fighting for something too. He was fighting to try and get back into that rotation. Mm-hmm. Look, you could throw all the numbers you want at me about Sonny Gray. He's got to go. He's got to go. And you're right. That does give him that leverage.
It's surprising in the sense that Cashman basically said, I don't want this guy here. I would rather get hit by a bus than have him pitch for me again.
But he did say, but he's got the stuff and he could be good in another market.
And that the willingness of Cincinnati to offer up some of their top prospects for him, just goes to show you what people around baseball think of Sonny Gray. That if you take him out of New York, he's still a really good pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, again, yeah, you guys are right on. I mean, I remember the playoff game. Obviously, living in Detroit, it was the division series when the Tigers played Oakland a few years back, and he pitched better than Verlander in a playoff game. I mean, this is Justin Verlander, the guy that the Yankees should have gotten, and Sonny Gray pitched better than him in a playoff game. So, I mean, the stuff is there. It's just all between the ears with him.
Yeah, I'm tired of talking about Sonny Gray.
I can't wait till he's gone.
Yeah.
I can't wait until he's gone. We do a quick bit on him being gone, and then we never have to talk about him again. Unless he beats us somehow in like the World Series if he goes to the Reds.
If the Reds get to the World Series, I'll jump out this window right here.
All right, so what's the over-under, though, on Sonny Gray wins next year with the Reds?
15.
I go under just because of the team itself, but I think he will have an eye-opening year compared to what he did here in New York.
I think, or let's do a better one, because in this day and age in baseball, maybe wins aren't the standard they once were.
Right.
Over-under for his ERA, 3.20.
I say over, but very slightly. I'll say 3.40 maybe.
Man, if he pitches to a 3.40, I'll say over on 3.2.
Well, think about the teams that he'll face being in the Reds organization.
The Central, the Pirates, the Cubs, the Brewers. I mean, yeah, maybe the Brewers are the Cardinals. I still think he'll be much more successful over there.
I really do.
You want to say over, fine, but 3.3-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say 3-4-ish because that Reds ballpark, Great American Ballpark, is a bandbox.
Oh Jesus, that could get in his head too. Then,
if that's what he's projected to pitch to next year, then the Yankees are going to get some decent prospects.
Yeah, it sounds like they're gonna.
All right, let's. Speaking of the Yankees and people that will actually be here next year or this year, it's 2019 or
2019, yeah, this year.
Wow. Let me get this guy's name here because he's requested this several times, and I wanted to keep my promise to him. At Kyle Blevins 19, he also wanted a shout out. So there you go, Kyle. So
what up, Kyle?
You can never ask me for anything ever again because you got your shout out and your wish for us to discuss this on the show.
Just kidding.
Kyle wants to know what...
You get the producing credit, right?
We don't hand those out. He wanted to know what our projected lineup would be, our starting lineup or everyday lineup for the Yankees. Now, what we're going to do is to take the fantasy stuff out and no Harper, no Machado, no anybody. Just who's ever currently signed to this ball club right now, who our opening day roster would be, Lineup. Yeah, lineup is 1 through 9, where they're playing, blah, blah, blah. So, Stat Guy Rye's been relatively quiet over there. So let's let him get started with that.
All right. You want me to do my full projected lineup?
Yeah, 1 through 9.
1 through 9.
Why don't we also do starting pitcher, get that out of the way? I think we all
opening day. All right. Severino's pitching.
It's still part of the mix.
Do you think Sevy's not getting the ball in opening day?
Absolutely. I think he's gonna.
Brendan, are you gonna disagree with that? Is Sevy getting the ball in opening day?
Yeah, unless he gets hurt, it's definitely Sevy.
All right, so go ahead, Rye.
All right. Leading off, shortstop Gleyber Torres. Then Aaron Judge in right field. Giancarlo Stanton, DH. Luke Voit, first base, hitting clean up.
Wow.
Aaron Hicks, fifth, center. Sanchez, 6, catching. Andujar, 7 at third. DJ LeMahieu, 8th at second base. And Gardy closing things out, playing left field. That's a tough lineup to construct, though, because you can have Hicks be the leadoff guy, but then you have your lefties hitting back-to-back when the lineup wraps back around with Gardner hitting 9th. Well, so I think that they're going to deviate away from Hicks leading off this year.
I don't think your lineup's bad. I just see the Yankees playing it a little safer on opening day and throwing something out there that they're a little more in line with, something that they know. and they don't know.
Don't forget Luke Voit hit cleanup in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, but this is a new season now, and Luke
throw him in
Voit
the
is going to
fire.
have to earn himself that cleanup spot, I
It's
think.
tough. They don't have a true cleanup hitter unless you break up Judge and Stanton.
And they're going to. I think they were okay with that last year. The only problem is you don't really have a substantial lefty batter to throw in the middle of them. Brendon, do you have your lineup you want to throw our way?
Yeah. I liked Rise. I liked his because it was out of the box a little bit.
Yeah, it's out of the box
but here's
for sure.
mine. I go with Hicks in center, leading off. Judge in right, second. Then I go Miggy Smalls at third, batting third. I like the fact that his clutchness put him in the third spot. Then I got Stanton DHing, getting cleanup. Sanchez catching. Voit at first. Then I have Glaber good at second. Tulo at short, and then I have Gardy in left, batting ninth.
You want me to go, Christian?
Go ahead.
All right. I just want to start by saying this is strictly my opening day lineup. I don't think it's one that's going to last very long, but I was against a lot of people saying LeMahieu is going to lead off for this team.
LeMahieu.
But I think the Yankees might start in that direction. And I'm completely against Torres playing short, but I think that's where he's going to play for a lot of the year. I got LeMahieu at second base leading off. I got Judge in right, batting second. I have Hicksy at batting third and center, and I don't think that will last long.
He hit third sometimes last year.
Yeah, I just think that the Yankees, assuming Bundy might start that game with a righty on the mound, they're going to want to see how he does in between Judge and Stanton from the left side. And then I got Stanton DHing, cleaning up. I got Miggy behind him at third. Sanchez after that behind the plate. Torres at short. I got Luke Voit at first base, and I have Gardy rounding it out in left field. With Gardy and LeMahieu, LeMahieu's a guy who doesn't strike out a lot. He gets on base. Maybe you're hoping Gardy can get on base a couple times as well and turn it back over to Judge.
It's LeMahieu.
LeMahieu.
All right, here's my lineup. Ready? I got Hicksy leading off center field.
Okay.
The big guy, Aaron Judge, number 99 in right field.
Okay.
Then we got Miggy 2 bags playing 3 bags.
So you and Brendon
See,
both
I
have
think
him
he will
hitting
be
three.
the 3-hitter eventually. I just don't see it happening right off the bat.
No, I do. He's their best. He was their best all-around hitter last year. That's where you put your best all-around hitter.
I agree.
Big G cleaning it up at the designated hitter spot. The Kraken behind the plate, batting fifth. Then we got Glaber. As again, like you said, I don't want him playing shortstop, but I think I have to right now.
Yeah, you have to.
I got Glaber manning shortstop at batting sixth. Then here's where I'm going to throw the wild card at you.
I was going to do this too. Go ahead.
Gregory Bird is going to be batting seventh, playing first base. And DJ LeMahieu will play second base, batting eighth. And then to start the season, and it won't last very long, and we'll talk about this briefly. It's going to be Gardy rounding out the lineup in left field, batting ninth.
Let me
like
say
that
something
lineup.
real quick. I do like that lineup. The only reason why I didn't have Bird at first base is because I didn't want to bat LeMahieu that low in the order because he does get on base. He doesn't strike out a lot. I like him up at the top or all the way at the bottom. I like him more at the top, and I didn't want to put 2 lefties in Bird and Gardner back to back because in a lineup that doesn't have any lefties in it, you cannot justify putting 2 lefties next to one another. That's why I have Voit playing first base.
I agree. I was actually thinking about Bird too with looking at the schedule that it would be Bundy, and you know what? It probably will be him. If he has even a decent spring training, right? So, against the righty with an off day between the first 2 games, it'll probably definitely be Bird that first game, right?
To a man, it could be, but to a man, I think the Yankees want Greg Bird to win the job in spring
They
training.
do. They have to want him to win it. They have to.
I didn't take into consideration the whole platoon thing. Like if a righty's pitching, it probably will be Bird.
No, you don't even I'm saying, though, I didn't even want you to think that far into it, who would be on the mound that day, just what your ideal lineup would be to start the season.
Well, my ideal lineup is going to have Voit in it over Bird, but the Yankees' ideal lineup is going to have Bird over Voit.
You'd have 3 lefties in there.
100%. You have to
Switch into
try and maximize his talent this year.
And none of us had put Troy Tulowitzki in that lineup.
No, it's crazy. I just don't know what to do with the guy.
I did. Sorry,
yeah, Brendon did.
Crazy one, right?
Did you?
Yeah, he had DJ on the bench.
Yeah.
Oh, did you? I'm
Wow.
sorry.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was actually writing
that's all right.
something.
No,
I was actually writing something
I mean,
down
you
when you were talking. My bad.
No, it's all good. I mean, he'll probably get hurt the second week of spring training. He'll be off or not. So, but yeah, I just figured, the way they, the whole, well, we got him, we got DJ. I think the ideal scenario is, start DJ against lefties and have him come in for defense for Miggy late in games, in a game like that. You know what I mean? Like if they rack, Dylan Bundy and they're up, 7-1 in the sixth, then you put him out there for defense. You know what I mean?
I think
that's kind of where I went with that.
I think eventually, if he can stay healthy, I think Tulo is a really attractive trade piece with that salary. If he can stay healthy and prove that he can perform at some type of competitive level, and a team has a shortstop or something go down, Tulo is a great guy to try and make something work with.
Yeah, but again, like with Sonny Gray, you're talking about people you can get something for. You'd get nothing for him. It would just be the Yankees doing somebody a favor and doing Tulowitzki a favor to get him on a team that he's going to play.
Sure, but that's better than him wasting away on the bench if they're really not utilizing him.
What do I care what he's doing?
Now, to use your Cinderella analogy, Christian, what happens if Luke Voit, comes back to earth? What if he's not for real?
Well, that's another issue that we've talked about too, and that's why we're so adamant on wanting Bird to be the first baseman.
Who did he ask that question to?
He was asking it to you. You took too long to respond, and I interjected myself into the equation.
Okay.
He got his hand on his buzzer quicker.
True.
Yeah, he's got his hand on
you got to be
something.
quicker.
What happens if Luke Voit comes down to earth? I don't know, because that's a thing we debate and talk about all the time. We don't know, and I used this term last week, if Luke Voit is just a more jacked up version of Shane Spencer. We don't know that. The Yankees need to find that out, which is why I'm okay with them not really making a move to solidify first base, because you have to find out about this guy. But honestly, if all things are equal, Greg Bird is playing first base this year. The Yankees are going to want Greg Bird to play first base. The Yankees are going to want some type of lefty power in the lineup. So even if those two are neck and neck, even if Voigt's slightly ahead, I think Bird's still going to get the call.
And the fans need to put their wants on the back burner with Greg Bird for a while, because you have to have patience with the Yankees if they keep throwing him out there, again, due to the fact that they just don't have a lefty power bat right now.
But do you have that same leash that you had last season with Bird?
No.
Not even
the leash
close,
is
right?
Absolutely not.
No.
There's a tight leash, but there's got to be some give there. They gotta just hope and pray that they can throw him out there, and that A, he can stay healthy, and B, fully healthy, and B, that he can produce at the level that they always thought he could.
He's still yet to have a full healthy season.
They say last year he wasn't even healthy the whole year. He was feeling pain in his foot still. But I mean, how long is that going to be an excuse too?
This is it. This is his last shot. So, all right, real quick before we let Brendon go and tell his trade story, over under, or if it will even happen for Clint Frazier to replace Brett Gardner in left field. Chris, we'll go around the table. Since actually Brendan's not here, he starts. So Brendon.
So over under on how many? Repeat the question again. I'm sorry.
Over under on when? We'll put a date at Memorial Day. That'll be the date, Memorial Day. Over under when Clint Frazier replaces Brett Gardner as a starting left fielder for the Yankees.
Okay, it'll be after. They'll give Gardy as much time. If they were going to pull the plug on him that quick, why sign him? I mean, I know he's Cashman's boy and all, but I mean, if he's not going to have a long leash or a somewhat long leash, then they shouldn't have re-signed him, and they should have, allocated that money for something else.
Christopher?
So it'll be after.
Okay.
I'm going to disagree here heavily, and I'm going to say under. I think that the Yankees' hopes are that Clint Frazier can play a few weeks, a month or so, at a competitive level without any of the concussion symptoms coming back. I don't think it necessarily matters what kind of production he puts up in the minor leagues. I think overall they want to see that he is healthy and that nothing is lingering. And I think within 3 weeks to a month, by the time the beginning of May comes around, Clint Frazier will be the starting left fielder for the New York Yankees.
It's that guy, Rye.
Man, it's tough because
I know you have a close personal relationship with Gardy, but, you know, put that aside.
I think you guys are forgetting someone, though. What about Jacoby Ellsbury?
You know what, Brendan? I don't know if you're a fan of salty language, but if you are, earmuffs, fuck Jacoby Ellsbury, okay?
But a healthy Jacoby Ellsbury will be on this roster opening day. If he is
and
healthy.
Chris will have an ass tattoo.
But can Ellsbury play left field?
Yeah, he can play left field, yeah.
So then, in my opinion...
So I still have a nightly fantasy that he's going to be gone.
If Gardner is struggling early on in the year and Jacoby Ellsbury is healthy, then Gardner will be benched before Memorial Day for Jacoby Ellsbury, not Clint Frazier.
Wow.
They are not...
Interesting.
I'm telling you, if Jacoby Ellsbury is healthy, they are going to try and see if they can spark him again. They have to. They have to.
It's a good point because if for nothing else, then you want somebody else to want Jacoby Ellsbury.
Yeah, right. They're not going to just let this guy sit on the bench if they could maybe use him in the starting lineup as a lefty. You see, you're replacing Gardner. If you're replacing him, I would like to replace him with another lefty because you take Gardner out, then you only have one true lefty in that lineup for the first few months.
Okay, I understand that. But I also think in my scenario, Greg Bird's playing first base.
I'm going bold today.
I like it.
I'm be bold, Ryan.
I'm be bold. I'm bold.
I'm gonna say. I'm going to take the under as well because I'm in agreement with Chris here that the Yankees just want Frazier to show that he's healthy for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's the biggest concern, right? You know the guy is capable of absolutely demolishing minor league pitching.
He could hit 700 in the minor leagues, and you wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think he's already shown that he can master that
staying
level.
Healthy and not feeling any symptoms.
Did you guys see that Clint Frazier's campaigning on Twitter to try and get rid of the Red Thunder nickname?
Guess what? You're stuck with it, pal.
And now you're definitely stuck with it.
Yeah, now you just
Red
did
Thunder.
the opposite.
Once you tell somebody not to call you something, they're just going to call you it.
Yeah,
right.
I'll always call him that.
Is he the Yankees' Trevor Bauer? The amount of time he spends on social media, he does a hell of a lot of engagement.
See, the problem is that
media.
people don't hate him because of who he supports or doesn't support in the White House. There's a difference,
right?
Though. But yes, I do see the correlation there.
Yes.
Yeah, they're both very active on social media.
There's some people that can't get over anything that Trevor Bauer does because of who he put his support behind.
He's also kind of a douchebag.
He is also kind of a douchebag.
Yeah, he'll call you out on Twitter.
All right, so we'll let Brendan go here, but he did want to tell us this trade story to are you going to incite or educate the what's the term that we use, the Twitter mob? Are you going to, so what's your
Yeah,
motive?
I'm going to try.
You're going to try to educate them or you're going to try to rile them up here?
It might be both. So I guess one thing, obviously being a lifelong Yankee fan that's moved out of the tri-state area, moved out of the kind of the East Coast area living. I mean, Detroit is not a baseball town, but when the Tigers are good, people are interested. And the thing that's funny, and I give you guys a ton of credit for how you handle yourselves on Twitter with the guys that come after you on a consistent basis. I'm sitting here, in my living room in Detroit, and I'm reading some of these tweets, and I'm like, how the fuck are these guys so nice to these people? Like, you keep it civil and whatever. I'm an old Irish dude, so I'm a little more hot-headed than most. But so one thing that drives me crazy is people sit there and I think fans as a whole don't appreciate how hard Brian Cashman's job is. I mean, for the entire tenure. Now, I'm just as frustrated as you guys are. They haven't won since 2009. I want a title just as bad as any fan in the fan base does because, we're such spoiled brats, and it's been, 9 whole years, going on 10 since they've won a title. So I get all that, right? But they don't understand how hard Cashman's job is. And it stood out to me one time. I was down covering a game, and what was funny was it was 2009, so it was the year of the championship, and actually everyone at my radio station had gotten fired and they went syndicated. So we still had all our credentials. So, it's great when you can just go down and watch a ball game for free and kind of kick it in the clubhouse and do freelance stuff, with a season pass and get access to, all the heavy hitters and all the writers and all the players and things like that. So it was funny. I was walking through the press box and, a guy we all know and love, Dave Dombrowski, was the GM of the Tigers at the time. And he was kind of just BSing with a couple of reporters. And it would have been a week or so after the trade deadline, I think. So it was like early August of 2009. And, as often the case, the moves the Yankees made, if you guys remember, weren't big splashes, but they were significant moves. They got Eric Hinsky.
Yeah,
and they
Jerry
got
Hairston, right? Yeah.
Right? So, he was talking, and I think Mel Antonin, who was a really nice guy that used to write for USA Today, was in town for something. The Tigers, if you remember the Tigers, they were pretty good in 2009. They actually lost a one-game playoff to the Twins for the right to play the Yankees in the division series. So I thought, so the Tigers were a competitive team, but what blew me away was this was Dave Dombrowski, one of the more prominent GMs in baseball, basically telling the media, and this is, again, what cracks me up, how much he appreciates the job that Brian Cashman does. And obviously now they're rivals, but, they've had a history before. They made a ton of trades when he was with the Marlins and with the Tigers. And he basically said that Cashman has the hardest job maybe in all of sports, because there are certain teams that when he tries to call them, they basically hang up the phone. There are owners in baseball that are so afraid of the Yankee machine and the Yankee monster that they won't even take Cashman's calls. So if there's, obviously he's not going to do business with the Red Sox. So that gives you, and I think fans are so simplistic and they think that life is like fantasy baseball. They sit there and they think, well, there's one, I'm not gonna say her name, but she always complains about that the Yankees have never traded, or Cashman's never traded for an ace, which is the most ridiculous quote, because it's not like, aces are available like at the corner garage sale every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it really hit home to me to sit there and like, okay, so if half the teams in baseball, if there's a certain amount that won't even take Cashman's call, the pool of teams that he can do business with has shrunk, because there are owners that hate the Yankees so much. They basically told their GMs, don't do business with the Yankees. They're the Yankees. I don't want to be the team that puts the Yankees over the top to get them their 28th title. And I don't think fans have enough of an appreciation for that. Go ahead.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I got to say, too, they're probably taking his calls a little more now that the Yankees have young, great talent. But what does everything come back to? Why everyone's so pissed off Kluber's not a Yankee right now? Because now, to spite Brian Cashman, they answer his phone call and they ask for Gleyber Torres, or guys that they know are never, ever going to be traded.
Like the whole Garrett Cole thing. The Garrett Cole trade was a classic story of, they asked the Yankees. That's the other thing. You're right. Great point, Chris. When teams do want to entertain offers, they completely try to fleece the Yankees. There's such few GMs that'll actually, do business on the up and up with him. So we all, the Twitter mob all, okay, well, we have to get this guy, so let's overpay. And it's just not realistic. You guys correct people day in and day out. But, like I said, I've heard it from a prominent baseball executive that, Cashman can't just call up like it's a Yahoo trade and click yes and get the people that we as fans want them to acquire. You know what I mean? It's not that simple. It's his job. So that kind of pisses me off that fans don't, being in the know like I was. And that's why I love telling people that story, because it's like Dombrowski was basically telling reporters like, hey, Cashman's job is so much harder than the rest of ours. It's not even funny. Of course, he went on to the Red Sox and now, won a World Series, but you know what I mean? Like, so it just cracks me up knowing that, hey, it's not easy. And people aren't just, the Yankees are calling and their fan base really wants them to acquire this number 2 starter. Oh, here you go.
Right.
Let's placate all the Yankee Twitter mob. You know what I mean? They think that's how it works. And
we'll take Sonny Gray and Greg Bird and whatever else bag of trash you want. We'll give you Corey Kluber.
Well, that's the thing.
And we'll throw in Trevor Bauer, too. And here, take Jason Kipnis and Francisco Lindor.
That's the thing, Brendon. We say it all the time that we love. People will tweet us or message us or whatever, and they'll be like, Greg Bird sucks. He's the worst fucking player I've ever seen in my life. The Yankees need to trade him for an ace. We're like, what?
But Brendon does make a great point, though.
Mad Bum, straight up, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Just because.
Go ahead, I cut you off.
Oh, yeah. No, don't worry about it. It kind of seems like teams do sort of take the spiteful approach toward trading. Instead of taking the better deal with the Yankees, they decide to not, take their offer seriously. You look at the Mets with Jay Bruce. They didn't even answer the call when Cashman tried reaching out for Jay Bruce a couple of years ago. You look at it even with Garrett Cole, like you just mentioned. They probably took the lesser of the deal because the Yankees weren't willing to give up their top guys.
Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but I was really involved in media in 03, 04. Obviously, that was, lost to the Marlins, and then obviously the Red Sox ended the curse. And I don't know if you guys remember this because it's all ironic, and it's like kind of one of those Back to the Future type moments of like how different life would be if something happened. But I don't know if you guys remember, but
probably not because I smoked a lot of weed back then.
Yeah, there you
Family
go.
show.
It was pretty much certain that in 04 the Yankees were going to get Randy Johnson from Arizona for Robinson Cano and like other prospects. But then in the 11th hour, Jerry Colangelo, who was the owner of the Diamondbacks at the time and hated the boss, fucking hated the boss, he killed the deal. And then, of course, the Yankee pitching continued to struggle and the curse was ended. But because that was before, Randy kind of broke down. You remember how dominant he was in 04. So can you imagine if the friggin' Yankees would have got Randy Johnson at the 04 trade deadline?
Yeah, man. You could have paired him with
life as we know it would be completely different.
Sure.
Well, Brendon, we want to thank you for spending part of your Saturday afternoon with us here. Brendon Sennot, a contributor to the NYYSportsTalk.com, although he doesn't contribute very much anymore.
No,
so.
he'll get his act together.
I got to step that up, man.
You got to get tracked.
I've been lazy.
I mean, you did pretty good here.
I deserve that abuse.
You did pretty good here, so we'll give you a stay of execution here for a couple of weeks.
That's fair. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a pleasure. You guys are great. I think you guys are killing it. Keep doing what you're doing. I love being able to contribute anytime you guys need me. Let's keep growing this thing. You guys keep doing what you're doing, okay?
Well, thanks, Brendon. We appreciate that.
Thanks,
and if you
Brendon.
want to follow Brendon on Twitter, it's at AUBDEC. So there you go.
Nice.
And those are my kids' names. That's for that weird Twitter name. That's Aubrey and Declan. So if anybody, that's the first three letters of their name. So, they run daddy, so they should run my Twitter.
All right, Brendon. Thanks a lot, man.
We
Take it
appreciate
easy,
it.
Brendon.
All right, boys. Appreciate it.
Jeez, I thought we were never going to get him off the phone, bro.
He's a good dude. Good stories.
No, he's got good stories. He covered baseball out in Detroit. He's a big-time Yankee fan. It's just one of these relationships that manifested that he found us on Twitter. He's been listening to the show. We've had him writing for the website. He did, busting his balls, but, what the hell are you going to write about in the offseason? Manny Machado? Shit.
We're primarily, we do a lot on the site, but a lot of our content,
right now
stems from the show. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I thought we were going to get through a whole entire episode without having to bring that name up, but
Sonny Gray.
No, Manny Machado.
Oh, yeah, okay. That'll never happen until he signs.
Ugh.
Even after he signs. It's all we'll hear all year. If we had Machado, this wouldn't have happened. It's all we'll hear all year.
Well, you know who they could have?
Who?
Nolan Arenado.
That could happen.
Before we wrap up, we're going to get into this Nolan Arenado talk that came out this week. Nolan Arenado was a fucking stud.
Right, bro. But, we already don't even know what we're doing with Troy Tulowitzki, right?
Who cares?
I understand that, and I know it's a good problem to have, but then what? You're still telling me you're keeping Andujar?
Well, here's the issue, is that from the initial report that I read is that the Yankees were going to, or would have to, include Miguel Andujar in a deal for Nolan Arenado.
But what does that do for the Rockies?
What do you mean? First of all, Nolan Arenado is one of the best players in Major League Baseball.
I agree.
And he's coming up on a free agent year.
Right. There's your leverage.
There's your leverage, right? That's why they want to trade him. That's why they want Andujar.
And the Yankees better be planning to sign him.
But here's my point. Is Nolan Arenado an upgrade over Miguel Andujar? Yes.
Yes.
Unequivocally, yes. He's an upgrade.
He's proven more.
But don't you want to do something besides upgrade the position that Miguel Andujar plays if you're trading Miguel Andujar? Don't you think you should do something else? That's my whole point in all of this.
Yes.
If you're telling me I'm trading Miguel Andujar
I want a pitcher
for Nolan Arenado, I understand that Nolan Arenado is especially at this point in their careers, and the fact that Ryan, look this up. How many Gold Gloves has he won? 6 or 4? He's either a 6-time All-Star with 4 Gold Gloves or a 4-time All-Star with 6 Gold Gloves or something like that, right? And look at his numbers, bro. The guy's a tremendous hitter.
Sure.
35, 40 home runs every year. He bats around 300. So yeah, you take the upgrade at third base, but you got no control over him over past 2019.
Yeah.
So Miguel Andujar is your biggest trade chip. Don't you want to get something back that you can control past 2019?
I've always said it. I'm adamant about it. I only want to see Miguel Andujar traded if it's for an elite starting pitcher. That's the only way it makes sense to get rid of him.
And this has been my whole argument with the people that don't want to trade Andujar, and I understand it. But the allure of having Corey Kluber per se and Manny Machado is greater to me than just having Miguel Andujar.
Right, and you have to look at it too. The guy, he had an incredible rookie season. But what are you going to do if Cashman could have gotten Arenado, right? Or could have gotten Kluber or whatever, and Andujar held it up because you didn't want him to be traded, and he comes out and he shits the bed and he proves that his rookie year really wasn't the guy that he was. He's only been in this league for 1 year.
But why was Aaron Judge such a given coming into 2018, though?
Because he proved himself in a different way than Miguel Andujar did. You did not question anytime Aaron Judge stepped on that field. You did not question it defensively, offensively, power.
Okay, you're taking into account his defensive.
Of course.
But you can say in some ways maybe Miguel Andujar's offensive output in 2018 was almost as impressive as Judge's in 2017. Because look at it, if you account their extra base hits, it's probably a lot closer than people think. And number two, Andujar never had that major slump that Aaron Judge did. So, again, everybody took Aaron Judge as such a given, but then now when we try to put Andujar in that same category, it's like, well, what if he doesn't duplicate it? But you never thought about that with Judge. And I don't think that's fair to do to Miguel Andujar.
I think because, and this also isn't fair, I think because Judge profiled as a power hitter right off the bat, that you didn't question it as much. My biggest fear, my biggest, holdback on Miguel Andujar was that I liked him because he almost hit 300 and he got on base and had a lot of extra base hits. I don't see a definitive path where he continues to do that year in and year out. Whereas Judge, he has power. He knows how to hit the ball. He's going to hit me 35 to 50 home runs every year. You don't see a definitive
path where you could be a 300 hitter that hits 40 doubles every year?
I just don't, because the Yankees don't really have a lot of those guys over the last...
And this is the one guy. This is the guy that they brought up.
Yeah, maybe, and that would be great. That's why, in the same breath, I don't want to see him go unless it's
and guess what happens when you
pitcher.
Get older and stronger and learn pitching better? Doubles turn into home runs. That's what happened with Manny Machado.
I don't necessarily need him to be a power hitter.
Well, I'm just saying, everybody, maybe his home runs are going to be down a little bit, but once he starts getting a little bit stronger and learns how to drive the ball maybe a little bit more and has better pitch selection, he's going to drive the ball out of the ballpark a lot more. That's what I'm saying, though. That, again, like, everybody always wants to look at the negative when it comes to Miguel Andujar, but we didn't look at it with Aaron Judge. We had no idea that granted, Aaron Judge didn't have a complete 2018, but we didn't have any question marks about that Aaron Judge was going to be the leader of this ball club offensively coming into 2018.
It's because he took any doubt out of our minds by the way he presented himself.
And what did Miguel Andujar do to give you doubt?
I'm not saying that he did anything to give us doubt. I'm saying that he presented himself in the right way, which resulted in the Yankees and Major League Baseball throwing a guy at us who we can relate to, just like Derek Jeter being the face of this team. We immediately...
Oh, you can relate to being 6'7" and hitting 500-foot home runs?
I said we can relate to having a guy who was the face of this team, and the Yankees immediately threw that down our throats, and we ate it up, and we wanted him more than anything to be the face of this team. We couldn't even imagine. It's unfathomable to think that Judge could be traded because of that reason. It wasn't just that he was great on the field. It was because he was the new face of the New York Yankees, and that's why no one even talked about it.
Nolan Arenado's been in the league for 6 seasons. He has 6 Gold Gloves.
That's absolutely...
He has won a Gold Glove every single season.
That is the most attractive part of Nolan Arenado, if you ask me right now, for the New York Yankees.
He's led the National League in home runs 3 of the last 4 years. Obviously, the one year being Stanton's 59. MVP, he finished 3rd last year, 4th the year prior to that, 5th the year prior to that.
And so I looked at his home road splits today, and yes, they are skewed towards home, but he hits better on the road than Aaron Judge does.
Mm-hmm.
And he's an all-around better hitter. Like, what is his career average? He's got to be hitting, close to 300 for his career. right?
297.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what's the average about? What's about an average year for him? Home run RBIs? Why, like 40 and 120, somewhere around there?
Right around there, yeah. It would, around 40 home runs a year, 35 to 40 home runs a year.
Wow.
And he drives in about 110, 120 runs every year.
Wow.
Look at us putting Stat Guy right to work over here.
Well, I got him a new computer here that he can work with.
Yeah, I mean, his home and away splits are drastic, but just because, I mean, he's crazy at Coors Field. The 347 batting average compared to 248 on the road. Slugging's better. I mean, he's definitely a better hitter at home, but
yeah, well,
like
of
you
course.
said, he's better than Judges on the road.
Coors Field is a power hitter's dream. I mean, any hitter's dream. Everyone loves to hit at Coors Field.
His OBP drops a whole point, 0.4 to 0.3, home versus road.
So that's what the people that don't want him, because that's their knock. Oh, he doesn't hit well away from Coors Field. Well, the guy that you want to play third base,
right?
Manny Machado. Look at his career splits. He played in Camden Yards. His numbers are drastically better at Camden Yards.
We talked about this last week, though. I mean, guys are gonna be better at home.
You know who? Just for shits and giggles, I looked it up. 2 guys, and I looked at a lot of guys that are top level players in Major League Baseball. 2 guys who do not profile that way. Mookie Betts has more home runs on the road than he does at Fenway Park, and Mike Trout's numbers are better on the road than they are in Anaheim.
That's because he's trying to get the hell out of Anaheim, and he wants teams to want him more.
But for the most part, like we said last week, guys are better at home. That's just where they're more comfortable. It's where they play more games. It makes sense.
Yeah. You're going to play to your ballpark. That's it.
Do you want the Yankees to make a trade for Nolan Arenado?
If it includes Miguel Andujar, I'm sorry.
Look
Just
at these
defensively,
RBI totals.
Who's this, Nolan Arenado?
2015, 130. 2016, 133. 2017, 130. 2018, 110.
Okay, yes.
I just got
Okay, yes. Yep.
That's why I cut you off, because I knew that would have
Yep. Yeah, I want it to happen.
cast it out any doubt.
I hate that I want it to happen. I love Miguel Andujar, man, and I want a pitcher for him if we're gonna trade him. But you're talking big time numbers.
Arenado,
You're
New York
talking
Rockies.
Big. Huh? Is he a lefty hitter?
No,
maybe?
he's right-handed.
That would be
forget
it. I
Okay.
mean, come on. That's just not like a little upgrade.
But are you trade? Yeah, but I'm not saying that it wouldn't be more than just a little upgrade, because Arenado's, we're going to classify him as one of the 10 best players in Major League Baseball, right? We have to.
Yeah.
Okay. But he's a free agent at the end of the year. You're going to trade Miguel Andujar for a rental?
You have to have plans to sign him.
And the Yankees are not going to make this deal.
We talked about this.
Arenado wants $30 million in arbitration.
Wow. We talked about
He
this.
deserves it off that
of
those
course.
numbers.
Listen, we talked about this in the past. Can the Yankees present a deal where...
Hold on. And he's not an old man. He's 1 year older than Manny Machado.
27.
Can the Yankees... That's really impressive. Can the Yankees present a deal to the Rockies where they do give them Miguel Andujar and they agree on the whole trade, but then work with Arenado to have something in place?
The Yankees have to get a window to get him to sign an extension, or they can't.
Because the only way I would do that is if you're guaranteeing me that this guy is not even going to sniff free agency
for 5 years.
Yeah, and he can't play the market. Nothing. He's yours. That's
Make
it.
the trade, including this year. 6 for $180. Boom,
boom, done.
It's $30 million a year. It's what
Kidding
he wants.
me?
You don't think he would take that?
Absolutely. Come on.
If you can tell me that, I might be more open to it. But again, like getting an upgrade at third base, is that enough to move Miguel Andujar?
Here's playing devil's advocate now. Who's to say that Miguel Andujar can't become that player? Who's to say it?
This is why people don't want Manny Machado, because they're saying Miguel Andujar is already proven he's a legitimate major league hitter. So why are you going to trade him for Manny Machado when he only makes $600,000 and Manny Machado wants $30 million?
Your biggest argument is that he's controllable and he's not getting paid a lot. And if he's going to produce at that level, maybe you just stick with Miguel Andujar. But those
Nolan
numbers,
Arenado,
man,
bro.
those numbers.
I'm in love with
It's
those numbers.
tough to say
Yeah,
no.
Those numbers are crazy.
It
If
is
you look at
tough
them,
to
don't they
say
jump
no.
out at you more than Manny Machado's numbers?
Absolutely. I mean, you see,
The six
you see
goal-
130 RBI in a year for 3 straight years. That's jumping.
Oh yeah,
The Gold Gloves.
the Gold Gloves.
The fact that he wants to play third base. Now where
Rookie of the year.
Machado wants to really be a shortstop.
not that we care too much about it, but just the fact of his attitude all around. He's a guy that you're not going to be investigating with every manager he's ever had and whatever. You're confident that Nolan Arenado is the right fit for your team.
Not
Plus,
even. Go
just,
ahead, Ryan.
That's okay. Just looking at the amount of games he's played since 2015, he hasn't played less than 156 games since 2015.
Guys on the field
come
Hey
long,
on,
man, hey, if that's what the Rockies are arguing back, it's tough to not give up Miguel Andujar.
Would you include Florial in the deal?
Absolutely. Again, Florial is a fucking nothing to me. He's nothing to me.
All right. What about if they ask for your 2 top pitching prospects, Loizaga and Domingo Acevedo?
No.
Plus Florial and
No,
Andujar?
you take Florial out of the deal. You go Andujar, Loizaga,
because-
and Acevedo.
No, because this is a team that needs pitching depth and they need guys to prove that they are getting close to ready to start replacing some of these guys in our rotation right now. You don't want to give up pitching when you need pitching. This team still needs pitching. They need depth. And if CC goes down, who's your guy? Right? You don't even know the definite answer right now. So I can't just go out there when I have a guy, Miguel Andujar, who should have been Rookie of the Year last year, putting up the numbers he did, and trade him for just another third baseman. But I'm also going to give up my pitching depth and my guys who are at the top of my list.
That's my issue with trading him for Nolan Arenado, is that you're just getting another third baseman in return. That's my one true issue with it. If you were telling me that we're flipping him for Corey Kluber and getting Nolan Arenado in a separate trade,
What if the Rockies came back, they wanted Miguel Andujar and Florial, and they'll give you Arenado and one of their top pitching prospects?
what are their top pitching prospects?
Well,
Because-
that's the thing. That's why I said it, because you don't really know how great their top pitching prospects are.
Because if they're that
in
good, why
Colorado.
don't the Rockies want him? Because the Rockies are always in search of pitching.
I'm just saying you can't be giving up pitching at this point to get a guy here who's not a pitcher. It just doesn't make sense. If you're going to give up those young top pitching prospects and you're going to give me a legitimate MLB ready pitcher, then that's a different story.
So if you're the Yankees, who do you want playing third base in 2019 if you could have your way? Nolan Arenado, Miguel Andujar, or Manny Machado?
Man, I got to admit, I never looked into Arenado's numbers that deeply. It's got to be Arenado.
Same.
I mean, come on.
If Brian Cashman could have his way, I would have to say that he probably would want Nolan Arenado playing third base for the New York Yankees. And if Nolan Arenado is playing third base for the New York Yankees are by far the best team in Major League Baseball.
Oh, my God. Come on.
Can
it's not
you
even
imagine?
close.
I know he's another right-handed hitter, but can you imagine him hitting in that lineup where he drives in 120 runs every year?
In between Judge and
Aaron
Stanton?
Judge
Jesus
and John
Christ.
Carlos Stanton.
Come on, man.
So the Yankees would be the best team in baseball, and what would make you the best fan of the NYY Sports Talk podcast is if you went to iTunes and left us a rating and review.
Yes, please.
Hopefully 5 stars.
I think we deserve it.
Yeah, even though we had Brendon on today, I hope it didn't drag the show down too much.
You're really tough on him, huh? It's like tough love.
It's not tough love.
Tough love.
He needs to understand what he's getting himself into.
Yes.
He wants to be a regular contributor to the program.
That's true.
And the website.
That's true.
That he needs to know who he's dealing with.
I agree with that.
Okay. Episode 96 of the NYY Sports Talk podcast. We're quickly approaching episode 100. So instead of doing number trivia, who caught the final out of the 1996 World Series?
Mr. Charlie
Joe
Hayes.
Girardi.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Charlie
I thought
Hayes,
maybe it was
bro.
a strikeout. It was Charlie Hayes.
Charlie Hayes pop up to third base.
Third base
yeah,
in
yeah,
foul
yeah.
territory.
Oh.
Remember it like it was yesterday.
Ryan wasn't even born yet.
I was 4.
And I ran upstairs into the bathroom like a friggin' loser. And I turned the sink on. and I started throwing water on my head, pretending like it was champagne, celebrating.
Yeah, I remember that.
And your parents didn't send you to like one of those special schools after that?
Okay, there were other people there, other kids there, and we were all doing it.
Like, have you tested after?
They were all doing it. They were all doing it, okay? So I did it.
Sure.
Oh, Jesus, look at Chris.
Look at Chris. What's wrong with him? He's throwing water on his head.
What is he doing in that bathroom? He's been in there for a half hour.
Chris, they won. Why are you trying to drown yourself?
All right, so thank you for listening to episode 96 of the NYY Sports Talk podcast. Follow us on Twitter at NYY Sports Talk. Ryan, I told you last week, shit or get off the pot.
I've been thinking about it all week. You ready?
Yep, go for it.
Go Yanks.
Chris, say goodbye.